What's up, Tat friends? You guys been crushing bangers, smashing mags, snorting solder, looping carts? Huh? Looping carts. Hey, what's up, friends? Good to see you as always. We have a really exciting episode today. I say that a lot, but most of the time I'm lying. Today, it's the truth. So a few weeks ago, my buddy Jesse Smith and I went out to Los Angeles, California. You might have heard of it. We spent a little time in the Santa Monica area, and while we were there, we did a few things. But while we were there, we caught up with one of my very favorite painters, illustrators, and that's Greg Craola Simpkins. We got to spend a little time with Greg at his home studio, got to see some of the artwork in his house and go through some of the stuff in his studio. And we recorded a little podcast. And what we did, kind of a surprise to Jesse, I threw him in front of the camera with Greg because they both come from that graffiti background. They'd actually been friends or acquaintances for about 20 years now. And so since Jesse made the connection and made the episode actually happen, I thought it would be cool for me to take a step back, get behind the camera, and let those guys kind of spend some time talking about what they do. Now, the reason, outside of the fact that I've just always wanted to meet and podcast with Greg, the reason that we made this trip and spent some time with Greg specifically is that he is going to be presenting at the Richmond Tattoo and Arts Fest Academy. And I've talked about this for a little while. Fireside has partnered with Jesse and the Richmond Tattoo and Arts Fest to bring the Academy this year. It is held the Monday after the tattoo convention. So the convention's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're going to want to stay through Monday and leave Tuesday because we have some heavy hitters presenting, Greg Craola Simpkins being a big one, being one of the kind of headliners. We also have Timmy B, Kevin Llewellyn, Robbie Latos, Yomiko, and I'll make sure to link to the landing page so you can see who all is presenting. But it's going to be a really, really awesome event. We're going to do a lot of interactive stuff as well. So you'll get to hold a paintbrush or hold a pencil and participate a little bit, which will be a lot of fun. So this episode starts off in the graffiti world. Like I said, Greg and Jesse both came from the graffiti world. They were all just kind of having a back and forth, a little discussion, and I just flipped the camera on without them knowing, and we just started rolling like that. So for the first 15 or 20 minutes, there's a lot of graffiti talk. They talk about a lot of their influences. If you are not from the graffiti world, which I'm not, I was fascinated by it because I don't know a lot about that world. If for some reason you don't care as much about graffiti or you don't know a lot about graffiti artists, you can fast forward about 20 minutes or so and we really get into the meat and potatoes of Fireside kind of stuff. We're talking a lot about process. We're talking about, inspiration and a lot of those drawing and painting focused stuff that you're used to us talking about. So I hope you enjoy the episode. I know you'll enjoy the episode. It's a really good one, and I'll see you at the end.
The graffiti world was the same. Everybody with their rules. Yeah. I was like, oh, give me a break.
And those rules will shift depending on where you are in the country, like the whole spot jocking.
Yeah.
Like out in Richmond, you're spot jocking if you paint within a block of someone because there's so much room.
Oh,
out here, it's like you spot jock without even trying.
Right.
Like, I don't know the term spot jock. What is that?
So if somebody's got a wall up on the freeway, like, oh, that's a rad spot. Everybody sees it. You go right up and paint right next to it.
Okay.
Because they took the time to figure out the ins and outs on it and if they can pull it off. And then some guys, oh, he pulled it off there. I probably can too, and just run up and do it.
So the proper thing to do would be to leave that area alone?
I guess. I think these days, like he said, there's so many people and it's so dense. That wall will just start getting filled up because there's so much of that wall. It's long. So I think it's a little bit okay.
Remember that time those people were spot jocking on our Venice spot?
Yeah, right. You mean like
we did
we painted a wall in Venice.
It's like a free wall or like
it's a legal wall, so everybody goes and paints when you're done. That stayed up though.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it stayed up for a couple. Whenever we paint down there, it always stays up for at least a week or more.
Oh, that's good.
But I haven't painted there in years, but it was just like
probably your side stayed up. They probably went over my shit.
But before that, it was the pavilion. Like it was that big pavilion, like you see in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, like that. It was that. That's where I started painting.
Wow.
Like I started painting in this neighborhood until I got in trouble, and then we just started moving out up onto the freeways, down into Venice and into LA.
So how long have you been in this? Did you grow up in this neighborhood?
This is my neighborhood. I grew up here. I grew up a couple blocks from this place. And the beach is 5 minutes that way. And the beach I was a local at right there. Now my kids are locals at that beach. getting in trouble down there like we used to, me and my friends. But the South Bay and Torrance, that's like my whole life.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, that's wild.
So you grew up here, and you started painting graffiti at what age?
I was 17. I didn't get the name Craola until I was 18. So everybody says that's kind of late, 17. But I was always drawing as a super quiet, introverted kid.
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't have my group of people who were also doing it until I met them all when I was 17 at youth group. But they're all the skater kids from their neighborhood. And I was skating too, but just kind of quieter. And I met them. But hey, let's go do this. Let's go over here. Let's go over there. Let's go paint this. I'm like, okay. Start taking paint out of my dad's garage, going in the sewage washes and ditches and painting those. But I was the only one doing full color stuff on the walls because I was already drawing like that anyways because I was obsessive. That's all I would do for fun. I would just draw.
Because Tim Burton stuff.
Even before Tim Burton, it's just weird comic book stuff. Mostly comic book stuff and fantasy stuff. Yeah. Stuff from books too. I'd make lots of knights and like Three Musketeers and all that kind of stuff. And anything from like Narnia. That's cool. All that kind of weird stuff.
That's awesome. So when you first started painting, were you painting with other writers or were you just bringing your friends out there?
Painting was with other writers, but we were all toys, obviously. Gotcha. We were all shitty. We were skaters and we were taggers and like, okay, yeah, man. And it was about getting up. It didn't have to be good. Like we'd take our skateboards, go all up and down Western or Normandy down the east side of Torrance and just boom, boom, Craola. Well, back then I wrote crumb. So when I was like 17, I wrote crumb. And then I quickly was like, it sounded too much like another guy in LA who wrote Chrome. And when people would hit me up, what do you write? I'd say Chrome. Like, there's already a Chrome. I didn't say Chrome. You know what? And after a time, I just sit with my friends at his house with my friend Pat. And we had shitty markers. There's just old Crayola markers, the shitty ones. Yeah. Sorry, the awesome markers by the best art company in the world. And I was just writing my name over. I'm like, well, what if I wrote this? I just wrote Craola, but I didn't like the Y, so I took the Y out because it was too many letters. Right. And then the LA lockup is like one letter if you think about it. And so it was like 5 letters at that point. Even though it's 6, you can make it 5. Yeah. With the L turning into the A.
That's interesting. My first graffiti name was Jizz.
You don't want that one sticking.
I actually just did a presentation and I had all my old Jizz burners up. Yeah, it's funny.
That's rad.
But yeah, it's funny. I love listening to other graffiti artists like in their first graffiti band. Yeah. Because it's just like such a like raw thought process. It's like, I just like these letters. I like the letter C. I like the other letter R,
Yeah, and the M you can end really well with it too. Yeah. So I like that. That's why I liked it with Craola though, because I already did the C and the R with Crumb. But the L and A and the A, to kick off the A at the end, it's like, yeah, it works out.
Well, then you're also in LA.
Yeah, and in LA. So
when do you start doing when do you feel like you start leaning heavy into characters?
Immediately. Like I was painting characters. Mostly, since I would take more time with them, I would paint at people's houses, and then okay, no, we're gonna do it on the street now. So I'd do it in Venice, but back when it was still the pavilion. It was before it was demolished, and it was just those 2 cookers and 2 walls. So it was a big open space, those tables everywhere, and there's ways you could hide around a wall and have friends looking out for you because you still got in trouble if you got caught. It wasn't like you were allowed to do it. Right. So people thought it was pretty relaxed though, so you get away with it. And I remember one of the first characters I did was just like, it's almost like the Circle Jerks character, but a different version of it. Yeah. So they're almost like 2-color punk rock characters I'd paint on walls. And then write Crumb and then take off. We'd skate out of there. I remember the cops came in to Venice once. I was doing this character. And it might have been a dragon that time. I forget. It'd be dragons and it'd be like punk rock looking characters and stuff like that. Some stuff was heavily influenced by Twist, just because that 2-color style, the blend back and forth. Just a light color and a dark color, whatever you can pull off with those 2 cans.
Relatively quick
and
stuff.
Relatively quick. And so there's these dudes that all looked like gangsters down there. They were writing on stuff too. And then me and my friends were like, no, we're wearing like OP shorts, socks with stripes, and just like, I didn't have tattoos or visible tattoos. Yeah. Just totally looked like we don't want to look like, because back then it was in the 90s, so it was like tag baiting was a thing. You didn't want to look like that if you're out writing, or you're going to immediately. So those guys weren't even doing anything. Cops came in, went straight to them. We saw it, and we were the ones actually painting on everything, and took off and said, dude, this is working out great. I'm going to keep doing that. So just don't dress the part.
That's awesome.
You're not going to see. I mean, I'm using wore like just like nice sweaters and stuff, cardigans with a tie, just go out paint, have a little briefcase or just a shopping bag full of spray paint. Just sit down. Oh, what's this over here? Even wear my glasses so that, just try not to look the part.
Does that culture exist anymore now that there's so many opportunities to people just give you walls to you just left Austin and there was that spot they have graffiti park, which there's plenty of that around here. It's like a 5-layer foundation of an apartment complex that was never built, and you get a permit and you get a chunk of wall, and there are people out there with lawn chairs that watch you paint, and then your thing's up there for 3 weeks, and then someone else has the permit for that spot, and has that ruined what you used to do, or it still happens?
No, that stuff still goes on. I mean, I'm 50 now, so I'm so not active. The last wall I painted was last July. No, I've painted something since then. Just I spent a good couple of days on that one with my friend Fed Up. And maybe I did one day and he came back and finished the rest of the weekend. He's awesome. But it's nice to have those kind of walls for us older dudes. But even a lot of the older dudes they're still going out. Like Risk is going out and hitting freeway walls, and my crews are going out and smashing everything. They're not trying to get those permitted walls. They'll get it if they want to do like a big production that they can take their time on. But the game and the sport of it still is illegal walls, freeway spots, rooftops, and heavens, getting billboards, fronts and backs. These guys are out there doing it all. Like I'm in all the chats on Instagram and these group chats, and they're posting stuff every day. Trains, lots of trains. Wow. Like all they want to do is illegal graffiti. They're like, nah, it's a legal spot. Let's go get these abandoned buildings, or let's go get these spots. And then they're posting, oh, we just took off from here. Don't go down here. It's hot right here. They're communicating through these chats. So I can see everything going on. I'm laughing and I'll send them letters too, or ideas for productions. Like when that TV show Invincible came out, I'm in a crew called WAI. So I'm like, nah, dude, let's just rock their poster. We are invincible. Have the invisible thing with the characters. I just rocked it in Photoshop real quick like this. And they went out and painted it the next day. I was like, dude, you guys are amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
I'll just sit here and just chit chat. Yeah. I'm too old to run. My ankle will snap in half a second.
Yeah.
But, so you're part of 3 crews?
Yeah, CBS, WAI, and Lord's crew. But I'm also part of Bashers and SCI and a couple other crews as well.
Gotcha. And which one's the probably the more popular one?
Can't Be Stopped, okay. CBS, but WAI is on their tails. I started later. I think they started in 93, I believe, and CBS started 84 or 86.
Wow.
Something like that. There's a documentary online you can watch about it.
That's cool.
Which is pretty rad.
That one?
I think I have a small spot in it.
And that was CBS or WAI?
CBS.
So CBS is from 84?
Yeah, I believe, or 86.
Wow.
And it's Can't Be Stopped, the movie on YouTube.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. See the history, how it came up in Hollywood. And
real quick, I got a question for you. Who started 3D letters in the graffiti world?
In the graffiti world?
Opinion, yeah.
I don't know who I don't know who started it. It was somebody I thought in New York, but it didn't. Dime in Germany is the best at it.
Yeah, I was talking to your buddy Steven.
Yeah.
I talked to him online one time, and he was all about Ernie.
Yeah, Ernie. I was going to say Ernie.
Yeah.
But I was like, was it Ernie or was it Dime? And then, there was a couple guys, but there were probably dudes trying it before them, and that inspired them.
Sure.
So it's hard to really nail it down. But my favorite earlier was everybody's favorite, Dime.
Dime.
Yeah, he's still good.
You know what's funny is I started painting in graffiti. In Heidelberg, Germany.
Yeah.
And of course, Dime, all the magazines were Dime.
Yeah.
And I've got magazines back in 92.
It's Seek, Dime, Hesh, all those dudes.
All those guys.
Yeah.
And I remember having this conversation with Steven online, and he was like, Ernie. And I was like, Dime. And, I was pulling out magazines with that, but I just was interested.
But I believe Dime came down and traveled to New York. Yeah, it doesn't mean he picked it up from him there, though. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Back then it was really hard to track the information.
Right.
Were you ever a fan of Toast? Do you remember Toast?
Yeah, I love Toast. I've got to talk. We were supposed to meet up maybe 6 months ago.
What?
He was coming into LA. So I'm really good friends with Sub.
Okay.
With Tony Sir and I.
I love Sub, yeah.
And so he's good friends with Toast. I think they're in the same crew. I think Stick Up Kids. I don't even know. I think he's in Stick Up.
Yeah, that's Can2 and all that.
Yeah, I forget. But we were supposed to meet up because I was a huge fan. And I'll tell you one thing that pisses me off. When I was working on Tony Hawk, Pro Skater, he came into town. This was probably in 2000, 2001. And he met it with my buddy Posh, who I worked with at Activision. But I don't think Posh knew he was going to be there because he was with Vile and Man One, and they all went and painted Venice Beach when there was the legal walls at that point. But we'd go there on lunch breaks because we were bored and go paint them.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, I just painted with Toast." I'm like, "You son of a bitch! I always wanted to paint with that dude. He did some cool fly character with the big teeth, you know, he used to do." But I guess it was not before last year. I was supposed to go have coffee with him or get a drink by the airport and meet him in person because we've chatted online. And it didn't work out. I think his flight got delayed or something.
Does he still paint?
I believe so. It does design work.
I know all the design work. Was it his real name's Adam Bozaki or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
Man, I'd love to meet him, man, because he is like the foundation of where I came from. Probably.
Yeah, he was one of my early favorites with his character style because it was like, characters and letters and all that. I really loved letters though. Like when I'm not doing this stuff, it's letters. If I'm gonna paint a wall. Yeah, the last wall I painted was just a big Craola piece. We did a little character in the middle, but that's kind of an afterthought. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do a character. And I was like so burnt out, sunburnt, just sweating bullets the whole day, dehydrated. I'm like, fine, I'll do a character. Immediately that night, the local gang tagged all over the character's face.
Oh my goodness!
And then we tried to clean it up. I'm like, it's all good. I got some pictures.
Well, there was.
Sorry, what's funny, kind of not from this world at all. I have like a dozen questions based on what you guys were just saying, but not coming from this world at all. I've been tattooing since the mid 90s, 96. And I can remember in the late 90s, pre-internet, we didn't have internet in the shop at least, being like charged to do graffiti style lettering down the back of arms or whatever, and completely discounting what it was. You know what I mean? Just being like, yeah, I'm sure I can do that. And then going home and like trying to draw that night and realizing, like, I remember telling my wife before she was my wife at the time, like, there's a fine line between graffiti and like bubble letters on a middle school folder. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't know where like what I'm drawing is what a 12-year-old girl would put on their binder, and I can't figure out how to make it right. So.
Did you put any arrows on it? You gotta put the arrows.
Yeah, you got the arrows. More arrows.
There was a time, I mean, at least I remember this, where if you did just characters, you didn't do any letters, you weren't considered a graffiti artist.
Yeah, there was talk, like I guess, but once I got into back it up. We were doing characters with letters pretty early on. It was 90s, early 90s, and getting into the mid 90s, we were getting good at it. And so then it became like we would go paint these oil drums up on the 110 freeway right here towards San Pedro. And I remember doing big dragons on it, big giant faces, and then big letters surrounding it and backgrounds. Then the front wall with just a head and then of a character, and then Crumb or Craola, doing both names at the time. And people go, wow, you're pulling off characters illegal too. I'm like, yeah, why not?
That's cool.
So that was fun being able to then we'd find yard spots where you could spend more time, not get caught, like behind in abandoned areas, and definitely doing characters there. I did some big Dracula heads. We did these monster, like themed walls and pumpkin heads and all that kind of stuff. And then our pieces. My buddy Nato, he's one who was helping me learn how to do productions. Him and Plek and Castle, and they're like, no, do a character there. We're not going until you do. I'm like, all right, fine. So I do. Because they saw my books and I would draw all this crazy, weird shit. And they're just like, yeah, more of that. I'm like, all right.
Well, there wasn't many people out doing characters back then. I mean, I think Cantu would always have a character next to his piece. Of course, Toast.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were just doing really cool letters with backgrounds.
I was lucky being in LA and going down to Hollywood and seeing what all the CBS guys are doing. Because I always looked up to them before I got in the crew, and seeing Axis and Mir and Express and all those guys were early on character guys.
They were doing characters.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, these guys are next level.
Wow.
And then Tyke from AWR killing it, and all the NASA guys.
Yeah, he's good.
And then Slick and Hex. Oh man, those dudes were early character and letters.
Yeah, I just remember, at least on my side of the planet, Toast was the main dude, Cantu, those were the two.
Yeah, I got to meet Cantu. I did this big graffiti jam in Croatia.
Yeah.
So the Americans that went out was just me, Sess, and Sub. And me and Sub were roommates there. And we painted with one from Germany, and then Lumet was out there, Cantu, Belin from Spain, who's one of my favorites. So many writers, so many amazing writers. They were all great.
Yeah.
And then we just hung out and partied with them the whole time.
That's cool.
Painted
I remember
walls.
when you did that. That was 10 years ago.
That was 99. It was it was
99?
18 years ago.
What? I thought it was now.
No, my oldest son in there was just born. So it had to have been 17 or 18 years ago.
And that was when? That was in 99.
Whatever. That's not 9. Sorry, not 99. Okay. It was way past 99, 2007.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know why I said 99. That's just
you lose decades in your 50s, like Corey says.
Yeah.
Like the whole 2000s go away. You know what I mean? Like once the 2000s hit, 2000s, 2000 teens, those are two different decades, but people our age don't think, you think of those as one decade.
Yes, absolutely. The way I can remember dates is by thinking how old my kid was at the time the thing was made.
Yeah.
Because my, he's not that big. Okay, that's that year. Yeah. Damn, you're right. 2007. That's crazy.
I'm always curious. I'm always trying to draw parallels to tattooing when I talk to painters, illustrators, and anything like that. And so in tattooing, we talk about a lot about, or I always talk about the importance of shape first. Like one thing that like everyone, your deltoid is shaped different than Jesse's, is shaped different than mine. And I think that's the first problem I have to solve. Or my first opportunity is I'm drawing to a specific shape in between those tattoos. This is my shape.
Right.
And in graffiti, it sounds like you have obviously a lot of that, saying there are parallels there.
Yep.
As you transition to painting more on canvas, do you find you brought a lot of that into your like?
I learned how to compose everything by doing graffiti. I wasn't painting canvases first. I was spray painting walls, and then I learned acrylics afterwards. So the first paints I really got into was spray paint, but also composing a wall. If we're doing a production, if we're trying to lay it out something that looks cool, right? We need the centerpiece here. We're maybe do like a couple grid lines. Your piece here, your piece here. How many feet long is that? It's 25 steps. You're going to be 25 steps too. Or leave the space open in the middle. So composition is important. And so composing it to make like your heater spot, like maybe a big character in the middle with the things surrounding it, and then background elements and glows and all that kind of stuff, that transferred definitely into painting canvases. And then now I do a couple grid lines the way I like to compose things. Do the Fibonacci spiral, and then the golden mean, and I try to make everything kind of the rule of threes. I always have like this object's going to balance with this object over here, and I don't even think about it at times. I'm just doing it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I put an extra goldfish over here in the painting, because it balanced off with where the glow light of that eyeball is, or stuff like that. But I know what you're saying about I've only done a few tattoos in my life, and it's only on friends that are tattooers because they have the setup, and they're like, all right, dude, you're giving me a tattoo. I'm like, shit, okay. And recently I've been tattooing this black rabbit on friends. We have like this black rabbit side. It's my logo, basically. It's from Watership Down. And you have to be watching Watership Down while the tattoo's being administered.
Oh, that's
or you have to have read the book. And I put one on my buddy, Rich. And he's the only one that didn't want it just like on an easy spot, like on my arm or on my leg, on my feet. I've always just tattooed arms, legs, someplace easy and simple for me who's not a tattooer. So he wanted it here and some black flag bars. I'm like, oh my gosh, on the collarbone, on that bump, hitting his ear the whole time with the machine. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, dude. Sorry, tending a bow. I'm trying to stretch it. I'm like, I don't know how people do this for a living. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I'm so scared I'm going to screw this up. He's got a lot of tattoos, but it was just like filling that space because I don't want it to look bad either, because every time I see him, I'm going to be like, you knew what you were getting. I told you it was going to be shaky lines. But it was so hard. Like, I don't know how you guys do it. Like, it's fascinating.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tattooing is hard for sure.
It's very hard.
But yeah, I always try to think about that. I think of it as like an advantage. Like it's an if-then scenario. It's like, okay, that's the shape that already is.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if you ever, we did the podcast years ago with Jeff Gogway, and he said, if someone wants a dragon like on their back, I'll like photograph them naked. If they already have a calf tattoo, I start shapes from the shape of the calf tattoo because I just assume that eventually we're going to tattoo their whole back. And that is what already is. Like that thing is there. And so since it's there, eventually I'll have to address it. I may as well, like, I can like this mark goes against it. The dragon sits like this or whatever it is, And when he said that, I think I kind of already thought that. And when he said it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's really an advantage to be limited in that way. Right.
Yeah.
Because it gives you like a thing that already is there you have to deal with.
Right. I've had to show up to walls to paint, and say it's like a graffiti jam, like in LA or something. We did this one in Boyle Heights. All these writers from LA were there. It was everybody who's there. Like, oh, this is so sick. Here's your spot, Greg. I'm like, it's just this weird shape. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like really okay. I'll just fit my piece in there. I don't care. Letters flow and go all wacky all over the place. And just okay, so I guess the A is gonna go up that way now and kick that way and more arrows that way, and just filled the space. And I'm like, oh, there's the piece.
And sometimes it kind of bends you in a direction you wouldn't normally go.
Yeah,
And then
you learn
because
new
of that,
style.
you learn a new thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always like that would cover up some stuff too. It's like when you first see it, you're like, fuck. And then you start laying out a different composition because you have to like make that work.
Right.
So.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the episode. I wanted to take a quick minute to thank our newest partner, our newest sponsor. I'm excited to introduce you to Tattoo Trunk. Have you heard of them? So Tattoo Trunk is a tattooer-owned, tattooer-founded, modular, portable tattoo station, tattoo setup. And if you're a traveling tattooer, you should definitely listen to what I'm saying. I personally believe that my tattoo setup is vital to a successful and efficient tattoo session. So in my home studio, everything is set up in a particular way, and it's always that way for every single tattoo. But when I've tattooed at conventions or doing guest spots at other shops, I always feel a little discombobulated and out of place. My stuff just isn't where it's supposed to be, and it kind of throws me off and takes me a little longer to adjust to the tattooing process. Well, Tattoo Trunk has solved that problem. This modular system is completely customizable. It folds in and collapses on itself to be stored neatly inside of a backpack, and then locks together in different configurations based on your needs. If you need to hold 1 ounce to 2 ounce to 4 ounce inks, different drawer systems to hold machines, cartridges, and other supplies, a bin to hold dental bibs. These guys have basically thought of it all. And as a special little bonus for Fireside viewers, subscribers, listeners, if you enter the promo code Fireside at checkout, you will get an extra 10% off of their trio or quad bundles. So like I said, if you're a traveling tattooer or just want to clean up your station, have something that's a little more put together, check out tattootrunk.com. You will find links to Tattoo Trunk somewhere around here, definitely in the description below and maybe even on the screen. Thank you to Tattoo Trunk. Thank you to you guys for supporting what we do. Let's get back to the episode.
Yeah. It's funny. You mentioned the add a fish over here. I watch some of I love the time lapse stuff just with the music that you're doing. And I'll put it on while I'm drawing sometimes or sometimes tattooing. And but you will it'll look like everything's pretty well thought out. And then suddenly this new creature appears somewhere that I was like, oh, I didn't really see that coming. It's funny that you say that where it's like, well, I had to,
That's the fun thing about, because when you're drawing up the piece, it's usually on sketchbook first. I have one. I draw them all super small. And as small as that book is, the sketch for the painting is going to be even smaller. It's going to be, I think the sketch for this is in here. Whatever, that big. And I'm starting that big. I'm doodling a couple times, take a picture, throw it on my iPad, redraw it in Procreate over and over and over again. So I'm looking at something this big. And then if I lay it out on the computer, maybe just to expand the composition, fill in the area, knowing the size of the canvas, I'll put in the size of the canvas, some crop marks, just like, okay, I want some free space here, open space here. But once you get on like a big canvas, like it's up here, the last one was 100 inches by like 65 inches or whatever. All of a sudden you see all this extra space that wasn't there before. I'm like, oh man, I could tell a story back here that wasn't even in the sketch. And I'll take a picture of it, throw it on the iPad, just kind of doodle on it, almost just like placeholder things, like circle F fish or circle B bear, and I'll know the space, and I'll just look at it on the iPad with the extra, maybe just be the color, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that there. And I'll take a white charcoal pencil, and I'll just be looking at the iPad. Okay, now I can just add that thing in there that wasn't there before, and just paint it. It's like this whole brand new part of the painting that just became super fun to paint, adds to the story, and creates a better, deeper narrative. It's just fun having a giant painting to work on because it opens up space that you never saw before. When the whole thing started off about that big.
Yeah. But that's what allowed you to solve all the big problems, to begin with, so you didn't get too far down the rabbit hole with a mediocre composition or something.
Yeah, and there's times, you'll see it in the videos where I'll paint something on and I'm like, no, I changed my mind, just paint right over it. And I go, F it, I can think about it too much and then complicate things, or I can just paint over it and make this painting even better because the story's changed a bit in my head. And I want to add, like there was this one, I did this owl holding a pocket watch. I always paint this, my dad's pocket watch in the paintings. And I'm like, it's cool. It'd be cool someplace else, I think. I want to throw 7 moons in this painting. So I did a big moon over that and then added like 5 more, 6 more. And I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. I'm so glad I did that. I didn't lose anything from doing that. So then, except in the comment section, why do you keep painting over shit you already painted? I was like, I don't know, because that's what I do, and that's how I've
very
always
organic.
done it.
And I think you guys probably attest to this. It's like if we knew exactly what things were going to look like before we painted them, we probably wouldn't paint them because it wouldn't be fun.
Right.
It's like fun to watch those things evolve out
Yeah.
of nothing, you know?
Yeah.
So that's cool. I love the fact that you got that organic, like, you know, just kind of like, I feel a little space up here, need something, and just stick it there.
Yeah, and I like this one. Things keep changing too. Like I know there's more little surprises it's going to go into it. I told the guy I'm doing this painting for, like, here's the rough sketch. I'm going to leave some things open to interpretation just because that's usually when the best stuff comes out. So
yeah, dude, I love these like little tatters here.
Yeah.
He's got the tattoo by organic going on there.
Yeah.
Oh, with this, these hooks.
Yeah. It's like
The tiger's tail is coming through here.
yeah, that's so cool.
Then it's like Tigger and Shere Khan mixed into one.
Oh,
And
wow.
Hobbs, I just wanted. He's like, I want a scary tiger piece. I'm like, you got it. Don't say anything else.
And so you're painting with color these days, like right from the get go. Because back in the days, you would do the
Underpainting.
what was it called? The
Grizzly.
grizzly. Yeah, you used to do the grizzly.
This was a grizzly. This whole thing, I just did warm grays and white, and I've just
Okay.
slowly been washing in the color.
Gotcha.
So I'll do by section now. I won't do the entire thing first because, like, I'm not a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Sometimes I am, though. I'll do it just to do it. But for these pieces, I know how these colors work because I've painted with these paints for so many years. I know where I'm going to go. I'm going to wash things over these colors.
Yeah.
They still get different. They're going to look different in the end still.
And so this one up here wasn't grizzly.
No.
Initially. You just went straight color.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because that was like
Except for like the beat and stuff. And this, no, I feel like parts of this were grizzly. Like I will underpaint things that are going to get color like this or like this. Like this was just warm grays.
Yeah.
And but I know I'm going to just start throwing in oranges and rust and all that kind of stuff.
And that was the Todd Shore technique initially, right?
Well, he got that technique from like oil painters.
Sure. I mean,
But that was
Yeah.
with acrylics. I think as far as acrylics go, he's the first one in acrylics I ever heard doing it. Seeing him do it just was like, yeah, I'm going to try it.
I felt like whenever I would try that grizzly stuff, it was really not fun for me.
Really?
You know, like I just so much enjoyed like trying to figure out how to, you know, get these colors to move. When I was doing black and gray, I was just kind of bored. But
I like the idea of not having to worry about the colors right away.
Right.
And then
More
once you start getting
about
into
form.
that, yeah.
I think it's so easy a lot of times, and obviously the longer you do it, the less of a problem this becomes, but it's so easy to misinterpret if you're going straight into color, like a color that's very rich, for example, for being like lighter or brighter than it actually is.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
like
Yeah.
red.
You know what's a
red.
fun practice to do, and I do it a lot when I'm setting up palettes for backgrounds. I'll look at photography, photograph like landscapes and stuff like that, as opposed to like other paintings, because I want to see, you know, I will take the photo and I'm like, oh, I like that color there. What I think that color is, it usually is, and I'll take a sample and I'll make a square and just fill out a bunch of swatches of what I think the sky is. And it's always like, oh, that's got way more orange in it. That's closer to a brown than a blue than I thought it was. Stuff like that. So I'll make all these swatches and then I'll mix those swatches into here. So this was like a sky, but it's not blue. It's like closer to a brownish gray with there's an almost greenish blue hint to it. But when you look at it, it tricks your eye and you think it's a blue sky. But there's so much atmosphere, like there's sun particles that get in it, bouncing off dust, that you're getting like hints of oranges and stuff where you never thought you should put it in. So instead of putting a blue sky, I'm washing oranges and browns into it. You can kind of see it closer to there. That's mostly Payne's gray with some oranges like washed in different spots, but real thin, transparent.
Yeah.
So there's no blue in there?
Payne's gray is closest thing to blue I have going on in that.
Wow. Yeah, I was like the Zorn palette. The Zorn palette's gray. The gray is the blue, right?
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, taking like painting workshops from like, portrait painters, or whatever. That was something that was hard for me to get through my head. Was anytime you're adding black, just assume that you're adding blue. You know, if you're adding anything like grays, everything.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of stuff is blue that you don't think is blue, right? Yeah, it's kind of funny. I wonder with like the way that you will render things to such completion, where like right now your main kind of subject matter is still kind of half painted in, but you have some secondary things that are fully rendered. How do you avoid like things competing for the viewer's eye? You know what I mean?
I won't take anything to full white until the very end. There's no full white going on here except for maybe that eye and that eye, and even that's not full white. It's kind of a grayed out mushy color that I had going in here. Or I'll even take it to full white, then knock it down with transparent paints. So at the end, I'll see whatever I want to hit hard. I'll wet the whole canvas down. So I'll spray it with that, take the sponge brush, make sure it's an even sheen. Have this by me, no paint on it, obviously. Take dabs of transparent color, like say like a yellow iron oxide or something, and then hit the areas around it that I want to knock down, and then just badger as fast as you can. And it goes such a thin, even coat of that transparent paint. All the whites are knocked down, all the darks are lifted up. And then the thing I really want to hit the hardest at the end, that's going to get the hottest white highlight. That'll get the darkest shadow, and everything else will kind of be soft. This has been washed over so many times. These are grayish blues at this point. There's no black. But in your head, that's a black crow. But it really isn't. So like you can knock everything back by just doing washes and stuff like that. And then your thing and you can just knock everything back at once and then come back into your subject matter and start boldening up your highlights and your shadows. And then you have your finished piece. So
Yeah. So I think about that because I'm like looking at the eyes and the little skull spider, and I'm like, man, that's like obviously.
Oh, that's probably hot white too. Yeah.
But still, but the idea being that you can knock that back if it turns out to be, it may end up being a great secondary focal point at that size, right?
Right. Yeah, that doesn't bother me as long as I have like 1, 2, 3 going on, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Right.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. It's we just did a podcast with a really great painter named David Shavitz, and he does. Do you know David Shavitz? He's
I've probably seen his work.
Still life painter, but a real imaginative still life, and he'll like wrap apples in an aluminum foil. But then when he paints them, like a lot of like the color of the apple, the green apple, will like radiate, like vibrate out into the atmosphere. Very cool. Believable, but like chunky and stuff. And I watched one of his demos once, and same thing. He'll go straight in with like his brightest brights and his focal point. He just paints that thing in. Everything else is blank. Yeah. And it's like, whoa, dude, like why now you have nothing to build up to. But that's the idea is it's a push and pull. Huh?
Right. Lots of push and pull. It almost feels like sculpting sometimes. So just like build it up, knock it down, build it up, knock it down. Like just, I don't know. And then the layers. And then I always like to work from back to front, lock the layer and start getting my Photoshop brain in there. Like lock it down. I'll even put a coat of matte medium once I get this whole background done, and then go to the next stage, and then either wash it, lock it, go to the next stage forward. So
when you say lock it with a matte medium, like you does that mean you can't work over it? You can work over it.
Absolutely can work over it still. Okay. But when you lock it, so if you're using glossy and matte paints to build something up and you're working that whole area, you get these weird like levels of like reflection and stuff like that. Sure. So when you matte medium, it all becomes one even unified. Yeah.
It's kind of like varnishing in a way, right?
Yeah. I'll varnish it at the end too, which knocks down any with like a satin. I do a satin varnish. Yeah. So everything's just one even, and then it looks.
That's awesome.
I love that finish on it. It just makes it feel buttery and like it all meant to be the way it just feels good. Yeah.
When you do sometimes like, or you used to at least do like some Q&As and stuff on your YouTube and all that. Do you find like, I've listened to it on a couple and it seems like a lot of people are really concerned with the materials you're using and your process. Do you think that people get caught up in your process a lot more? If you have to balance the types of questions that you're asked, how much is it related to your illustration, drawing, subject matter, or, as opposed to how much they're like, what's the medium? What's your matte medium?
Yeah, a lot of people really want to know about the tools, and as if that's going to make. I think a good paint and a good brush is going to take away a lot of struggle when you're working on something. And I'm happy to work with Craola and Nova Color. They like Craola brushes are great brushes, so I've happily been on their pro team for years. And then Nova Color acrylics are freaking amazing, and they flow right. They take a lot of but like I've been in situations where I had to use the shittiest paint. It's just like you just got to figure out light and shadow, and then okay, how's this drying? Okay, that's going to do that. I know I'm going to have to deal with that, and that's going to do that. And if you know like light and shadow, you're going to be able to pull stuff off. It's like I'll do a whole big giant thing with just charcoal, and then like. Or I'll even burn sticks out in the fire pit just to say, look, I can draw with just this too. And it's going to come out looking great. Just know what it's going to do and then work with whatever you've got, you know. But imagine doing charcoal on like a glossy, shiny poster paper. That would suck. So it's like, it is nice to have good tools. That's why I always want to share. People do ask those questions a lot. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you everything I'm using, exactly what I'm using. And if follow-up questions, email me and I'll just talk you through it because it's like, it's not that hard. I love sharing technique. It's fun. And I've gone through so many mistakes figuring out stuff out. Like I could say, oh, don't do that. Just do this. And you'll save yourself heartache. You know, if you're going to do want some pure red on your canvas, don't paint that section pure red. Do like a medium gray, and then do that as like a primer coat. Wash that red over it, because cadmium reds get expensive, but whatever that medium isn't, and it's going to look just like a nice, perfect red you wanted. Like, I've done it the wrong way too many times, so other people don't have to. Yeah.
We had the same thing happen in the tattoo world, where people want to know the supplies and stuff like that. I think the good thing that's attractive to that is once you cut out that variable, the only other variable is your artistic ability.
Right.
So they're like, okay, I'm using all the right supplies, I'm using all the right things. Now I just have to get better at art.
Right. And the biggest question is always like, where do you get your ideas from? I'm just like, I don't know. And I'll never be able to answer it perfectly, because
AI.
Yeah, right. Yeah, where was that 10 years ago when I was doing all the
20 years ago.
Oh yeah, 20, 30 years ago when I was doing all the same kind of images. Yeah, it's just from sketching whatever crazy thoughts are in my head, archiving those sketches, and then mashing them together and telling a story. I'll write too. I'll write the story behind all these paintings while I'm working on it. I'll just get out my phone, write down the bare bones, go on the computer and the word processor thing, just write it out. Drop my kid off at his coding class. 2 hours, I'll just sit and write. I just wrote this huge story that has to do with this painting in the middle I did for my last show.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this connects everything. Like all the paintings connect for like the last 18 years from when the oldest kid was born.
Yeah.
And now it's just become stories for my kids.
And so do you, because I do something similar as well as writing stories, but a lot of times my stories will come after the art. Do you put your stories before the art or after art?
Before, during, after. Yeah, it comes all around it. Like, I'm jumping back on, I was archiving some of them for a client, and I was just like, oh, they're the order. I put them all in order, and I jumped in and added stuff to it, and because that connects back to what I just wrote here, and that connects this. I'm like, oh, everything's connecting. Yeah. Even like people are like, well, you have this whole cartoon stuff you do with Stabby. How does Stabby fit into everything? Well, here I'll tell you. I just made sure he fits. He's in the canon now. He's in the world. So my world's called The Outside, right? Yeah. And it's based on this adventure that these two boys take. These two brothers, older brother Ralph, younger brother Crumbs, my old graffiti name, right? Yeah. But that's his nickname also, because he spills crumbs everywhere he eats because he's messy.
That's funny.
But so the boys grow up going to an amusement park. So I'm making all this story up as I go, but it just helps the paintings make sense because it makes it more fun. I love drawing amusement park stuff, rides and all that stuff. This painting's about an abandoned amusement park, right? But they go to this amusement park, and in the middle of this amusement park called Pendragon's, named after King Arthur, so it's like a round table themed, Excalibur kind of themed theme park. There's this place called Stabby Land. Think of like Toontown at Disneyland, or it's Camp Snoopy at Knott's Berry Farm. It's that one place dedicated to a cartoon. These kids' favorite cartoon they watch Saturday mornings is Stabby and Friends. They watch it, have their cereal, and then once a year their parents take them to Pendragon. They get to go buy something at Stabby Land. So now Stabby makes perfect sense in the world, no matter what anybody says.
Put it all together.
They're like, oh, so the cartoony stuff, the flat 2D style fits with like the more 3D rendering style.
It's the Snoopy of your world.
It's the Snoopy of your world. And they make appearances like other characters. Like I did Garfield and Odie as Batman and the Flash in my last show. But maybe in my head, they were a guest appearance on the cartoon show.
That's funny.
And I used to love when it'd be like a Wednesday night or something, and it's like in the 80s, and all of a sudden you do now to CBS special, and it'd be a cartoon instead of like the news or whatever your parents wanted to watch. And be, oh hell yeah, Snoopy's on, so I could sit down. I guess it was the only time you see Charlie Brown in the 80s. It'd come in the evening, or wouldn't it be during cartoon time during
Christmas.
The day or Christmas?
Yeah.
So it was always an exciting time. So I was like, yeah. So all these characters, F it, they're gonna make appearances in Stabby and Friends, and they can fit in my world. I can put them wherever the heck I want. So
did Stabby come from like, getting stabbed in the back or something like that?
No, he's like the friendliest character in the world. He's a switchblade.
Gotcha.
And the first time I drew him kind of just walking down the street whistling, like I wanted the cool pose for him. It's like, and behind him is a little mouse just pointing at him. Like, what did you do? And it's like, it's not Mickey Mouse, but it's kind of like a funny version of Mickey Mouse, and his tail's on the ground. There's a little droplet of blood. And I'm like, that's the first and last time he'll ever have cut anybody, and it was an accident.
Oh,
because he's got a heart of gold. Stabby's good. But like the joke is like eventually Mickey, you don't see him with the tail. So I said, oh yeah, Stabby came first, and he eventually cut off Mickey's tail. That's why Mickey doesn't have a tail anymore.
That's funny.
So
it's like a fun juxtaposition between this thing that's sharp and could hurt you, and he doesn't want to hurt you.
Yeah, he's got a huge smile, and he's always like up to something good. And I always pose him like this now because I wanted to tie him into my black rabbit because the black rabbit is my logo, but it's my love of Watership Down. It ties to that. Yeah. But so I always I have the toy of him too, and he's got his fingers like that. So he'll go behind cartoon characters. I used to make these little videos and put them on Instagram and stuff. He's just kind of sneaking, sliding in there and like photobombing them, but putting a black rabbit, putting rabbit ears on him. He's got a black hand, so like everybody becomes a black rabbit. So I have like Space Ghost with rabbit ears. I have all these characters I just add rabbit ears to, and now they're rabbits because Stabby photobombed them.
Oh, that's cool.
So he's turning everybody into a rabbit.
I like that.
That's why my version of Oswald's in that world. There's a thing, he just like this character without ears, and Stabby's like, I got your back, and he just gives him bunny ears.
That's fun. What is this in? Is this in your paintings or?
Oh, it's like social media and then drawings, and I used to just be drawings I'd put in the gallery show.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which eventually became paintings, which started adding paintings. I'd paint them on walls and stuff, and now it's just Stabby's part of the whole
universe,
plethora of the universe, the outside.
Photo bomber.
Yeah, he's a little photo bomber.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. You were talking about gallery shows. It reminded me of what you guys were talking about before we started recording about kind of the gallery shows versus commissions and the pros and kind of cons of each. It was stuff that I hadn't really considered. I know it's tough to regurgitate something you said.
Yeah, no, I can talk about it. You don't get one without the other. I think they both go hand in hand because like over the years, I think it did start more with commissions. It was hanging out at the tattoo shop every night at Big Daddy's Tattoo where I hung out. My friends were all tattooers. Clientele friends would come in. I want to buy your first acrylic painting. Okay, yeah, I'll go home and do that. I was all excited. My buddies working in the shop were all excited for me. Did that. It came out great. I'm like, this is awesome. And then I started putting paintings up on MySpace at the time. And then people were like, oh, I'll buy that. Or could you do a painting of this? I'm like, sure. And I did painting along the side. And all of a sudden I'd get like an underground group gallery show. Like, okay, it's just a one night thing. Some club in Hollywood. Let's go put our work up. This golf club and sell a couple pieces there. And your name starts getting out. I'm doing graffiti on the streets, painting commissions, posting stuff. And it's just building up a bunch of paintings and a body of work. And when you have that body of work, galleries like, wow, I'd like to show that. You want to do this one show? Sure. Gallery 1988 and Upper Playground hit me up the exact same day. I was working in video games. I was like, oh crap, they both want to work with me because they've seen the work I've been putting out. That's pretty rad. I told my wife, I'm like, I'm going to do these paintings. And I went and met with Jensen at Gallery 1988 and Katie, which was in Melrose, Hollywood area. And they're like, hey, we have this show called I Am 8-Bit. And it's based on video game characters. It's like, would you like to be part of it? I'm like, yeah, of course. Did this big piece with Pac-Man. It's called Pac-Man in Hospice. He's dying. He's got Centipede administering power pellets through an IV. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's got Dig Dug and so many jousts. There's a lot of video game characters in it.
What year was that?
2001? No. 2004, 2005.
Because the only reason I remember is because that's when I met him before he was painting for
you came to the video game place and we had lunch or coffee.
Yeah. But even I remember when I met Greg, I was in college at the time.
Yep.
And I was writing about artists and stuff like that. But Greg was on that teeter board. Yeah, he was painting on the side, but he was I'm afraid to make this jump, and then boom, he made it. Now.
Yeah. 20 years later.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was right then, 2005, when I did that show. And it was through that show that they sold the piece weeks before it even opened, and to an executive at Cartoon Network. And it was, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And I was so excited, but they're like, hey, so do you want to show in galleries or do you want to keep doing videos? I'm like, it pays the bills and I have, 401k and health benefits and future. They're like, yeah, you could probably do this gallery thing. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I did a show up in San Francisco at Upper Playground with Coffee, a 2-man show up there. They sold that show out before it opened. I had a 2-man show with Joe Ledbetter at 1988. They sold that show out. And I remember the night I had my first solo after those ones. I put everything, my whole heart into it. And I went in and I entered through the back. There was a line down the block on Melrose.
I remember that.
And I was like, oh shit. And then we went in and Jensen and Katie at the gallery were just like, well, Greg, hopefully sales do better. We'll keep you posted. And I walk in and there's a red dot on everything. I was like, wow. You gotta be kidding me. And they're like, no, Greg, I told you, I think you can do this thing. And I was like, all right. And I put a bunch of money away. we got an apartment with 2 rooms. I used one as a studio, and I just painted all day, every day for shows, and it's just snowballed. Start showing around the world, and then I get picked up by Mary Karnowski, who was like my dream gallery, and I was just like, this is amazing. And I had a big giant warehouse that I was working out of. I brought friends in, and we moved warehouses. Then we bought this house, which had a little studio on the back. My wife said, we're not having the warehouse and our own house with the mortgage. I'm like, all right, I can make big shows in this small studio. But this has been a godsend. I love this small studio. I put up the biggest shows I've ever painted in this studio. My kids are right here. I know they're safe. They can come bug me. My youngest one comes and learns computer art stuff on the computer.
That's cool.
And it's like been pretty cool. Yeah. But the commissions come because they see your body of work. But then you make a body of work, and the galleries want to work with you, and you work well, and you deliver your artwork, and you treat everybody right, and things generally go good. So, and then push yourself also. You got to paint good stuff that interests you and interests other people too. Yeah. So
and that's probably, especially, well, both of you guys in the way that the style that you work in, it probably it's very important to stay curious, because that stuff, even being very well painted, very well tattooed, can start to look just the same over and over, right? If you're not finding a way to stay really kind of fascinated with some piece of it, huh?
Yeah, I think that's what the whole story behind everything has been keeping me excited, because when I think of ideas that I just can't get out of my head, I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to work that into here. I want that to fit from now on. That's going to become part of that world. And that's what keeps things interesting.
I think the other thing is, how prolific you are. I mean, you've bashed out more solo shows than probably 10 artists combined, and you're just like constantly bumping out. So I guess my question for you is, what does your normal day look like? Your normal week look like as far as like painting?
Like I'll if it's during the school year, I'm getting kids up, getting them fed out the door, and then I get back. I'll go to the gym usually, just so I'm not sitting all day. Yeah. And I'll come here, answer a couple of emails. If I have to do any kind of social media stuff, knock it out so that I can put in a good 6 or more hours just sitting, working on canvases.
Well, 6 hours a day, 5 days, 6 days a week?
That and on top of the other stuff, more like 8 hours, 5 days a week.
I'm talking about the painting.
Yeah, just painting, maybe like 6 hours. And then at night, I'll make dinner. We'll sit, talk, do whatever we need to. Me and Jen will catch up at night, watch a show, chit chat, and I'm sketching. Like any weird ideas. I'll have a sketchbook with me or an iPad working on whatever I'm currently working on, or any fun idea that's in my head. And if I have to take the youngest to jiu-jitsu or something, I'll be in the car drawing or writing.
Do you feel guilty if you're not being productive?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same. Like I can't watch TV without drawing.
Same.
I have to draw while I'm watching TV.
Yeah.
Or I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
Same.
Yeah.
It's really tough to put it down and not do it, but it's really fun to do it too.
So in essence, you're doing your 6 hours and your couple hours of social media and all that stuff. And then, of course, drawing throughout the day whenever you are in a position where you can do it.
Yeah.
You have to be fully attentive.
Yeah. Even the other day, I take my youngest to coding, and I had this thought I'm working on for another guy, and I'm like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. Just charge it, the iPad, take a picture of my sketchbook, draw this thing up, listening to the audiobook, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I would not have drawn this like this if I'd been any other place at any other time. Yeah. Being specifically in this one place I know I have to be for 2 hours because he's doing his projects. I'm gonna just jump in, enjoy the moment, and do this thing. The only thing I can do here, I can either 3D sculpt for fun, which I enjoy doing, or I can work on this one sketch I've been really wanting to do. This is the time. And so I'll make that opportunity happen. If I have to go someplace, that's a perfect opportunity to draw. Yeah. So I'll just sit there and draw. When I got to fly any place, when I'm going to see you guys in Virginia, I'm definitely going to enjoy every minute of the airport, every minute being on the plane, because I'm going to be drawing, and I can draw stuff I don't usually get to draw, or I can finalize things that have been in the back of my head, but I've been busy painting. So then I can be like, nope, this is the perfect timing, and I can draw and get lost in it.
So what do you do to stay away from distractions? Because obviously there's so many things.
It's tough. There's lots of distractions. Like even today, I got up and I was planning. I knew we were going to meet. Had a couple things I had to do. I put a YouTube video out. I had to go borrow a car because I don't have a car right now. So I'm like, Isaac, get up, take me to go borrow Grandpa's car. So because I didn't know if we needed to go drive anywhere. So I'm like, okay. So I got the car, and then And I'm like, well, while I have the car, I want to go to the grocery store and get all the stuff we need to get for tonight. So I'll do all these little things to kind of get them out of the way and clear them out of the way so that I know I can do what we need to do. Like us today doing this, I cleared everything out of the way so we have time to chit chat. And then tomorrow will be the same thing. Nothing's going to get in the way tomorrow. I might go to the gym very early, come back, and then put in 10 hours on this. So
that's awesome. And so, as far as like the Instagrams and all that stuff, you don't have anything in place. You just make sure you just have that discipline to stay out of it.
Yeah, I try not to. Like I'll post. I'll try to do. It's usually the same post on across all the fronts. Yeah. Throw them up, and then put the phone away, or put music, or I'll film on it, like on here, so I won't be tempted to be on stupid social media or get into a conversation. I have a nice weekly phone call with my buddy Jeffrey Page, and we tend to talk for like 2 hours. So for that 2 hours, I'm just talking and engrossed in the piece, and it's like cool. I'm not distracted. We're talking about art stuff. He's like, "What are you working on? What color are you doing for that?" Or like we'll just talk about life stuff or film, and it's just like that outside conversation has my brain going that way while I'm detailing things in here. And so
I think the interesting thing is I feel like a lot of artists these days are struggling with being able to play any video game, watch any movie, listen to any music, you can do anything right now, any time of the day. So there's nothing stopping anyone from doing anything except for the discipline or the passion to move in that direction rather than moving in the other direction.
So right now I'm listening through, it's funny because I can watch any movie I want while I'm painting. I can't watch, I'll listen to it, but it'll be right here. Or audiobooks or podcasts or music. But I was trying to learn all this stuff about, if I'm going to put Pendragons as the amusement park and have it written in this painting, I better learn everything I can about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So I was just listening over and over all these podcasts, listen through audiobooks, the Pendragon cycle, listen to all the books, listen to all the podcasts I can about all the knights. So I start naming my paintings going to be named after all the knights now. I'm going to just develop my own, like, the birds in my paintings are going to be knights also. And it's like, it makes sense. They fit in that world. They'd have their own round table. There'd be a forest of trees and stuff like that.
And you're like visualizing all this while you're listening to it. And you're painting at the same time. So you're almost double dipping in that visual.
Yeah. And then I'll jump into books who's like it'll be like Stephen King or Dean Koontz book or something that's more fantasy or maybe dark and scary, but not just to catch their tone, the way they write stories. Because when I write, I want my stories to sound good too. I don't want them to be shitty when they actually finally come out. Or if they never come out, I don't care. They're going to be for my boys. But I think eventually they might. And I want them to have a cohesive through line. Yeah. Like I want it to feel like the first time I read Stand By Me, the body, Right. It's such a rad book. But I want that feeling to be in the stuff I write too. So I'm listening to how these writers are writing, what their voice sounds like. Or Tolkien, his is a lot more eloquent than somebody like Stephen King, who's just trashy the way he talks and stuff. But he's not my favorite, but I do like the way he writes some of his stories. So.
Yeah, he's got some clever twists and little loops. And sometimes they give you the answer at the beginning, but you don't realize it's the answer. And it's fun.
Yeah.
Have you read a lot of fiction your entire life?
Growing up, that was mostly how I go to bed every night. I had a number of whatever kid books you can imagine. All the James Herriot books who wrote All Creatures Great and Small, which he was a country veterinarian, and all his stories with animals that he dealt with. And so my whole life, I'm going to be a veterinarian too, because this guy's books are awesome. So it was rad. And then like Three Musketeers, Count of Monte Cristo, all the Narnia stuff, all the Tolkien stuff. Like I dive into books. So yeah.
Talk a minute. I don't know how long we are in, but talk a minute about teaching, like getting into coming out to do a seminar, and that's the reason that we're here to paint and do a seminar. Like, how did you did you get into teaching like intentionally, or is it just people were always asking you questions? You thought I should simplify this and put something down that's cohesive? Or?
That's an interesting question. I know the format of this isn't going to be exactly like a teaching thing. It's going to be me painting live and people watch. I'll answer questions while painting, and then I'll give the history. And I have taught seminars, and it's usually like a 1 or 2 day event. It's been 3 in the past, and it's the only reason we ever did them is because of the requests. People wanted to see the technique I do. I never thought I was doing it right. I feel like I'm still learning, like I'm tripping forward, making mistakes and solving them. And it got to a point where we were asked to do it. I've traveled the country so far and done a bunch of seminars around the country. We'll set up at a spot. It's usually always a tattoo shop. and a couple art stores and stuff like that. People will put me up and we'll do the sit down. Here's the seminar like we did at the Mocha in Virginia Beach, and I'll set up a canvas there. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a cloudy background. How I do it, I'm gonna do a skull, but it's just, who cares about the content? Just so you can see the way the paints attach, how they dry, how to render it, and some quick ways to make something cool happen fast. And I just want to show them how I use acrylic paints. I always preface it though, there's so many ways to paint, and there's gonna be some teacher out there saying, oh, he's doing it wrong. I would have done it this way or that way. So I don't think I'm a qualified teacher, but I can share everything I've learned and tell people the mistakes I've made so they can skip them. As long as I'm doing that, I feel like I have something to offer. But I can't tell people how to come up with ideas, and that always is how the question's in at the end. How do you come up with this? How do you come up with that? That's got to be inside you. That's got to be part of your psyche. Yeah. But the techniques, I'm like, here, I'll show you everything. Oh, I figured out this new technique with slow dry. If I mix 50% slow dry matte liquid with 50% acrylic retarder, and I use that on the background and coat it, then it'll thin out the paint and it slows the dry time. The only reason I know that is because one time I did a painting, I put 100% retarder on it, thinking I could use it like oils, and for days later, the background kept coming off. And I had to scrap that whole background, cover it with matte medium once it dried, and start over. And that's the cover of one of my first books, the painting I made out of that. And the painting came out great in the end once I figured, oh, I can't use this medium that way. But it sucked in the middle of it. And then I started experimenting and I figured out other ways to use it. So it's still useful. But I'll tell people that at a seminar and say, just use water for the most part, starting off if you're using acrylics, and then work in the mediums later when you're comfortable with the water.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. It's a good term, falling forward, or like, I think a lot of people would be terrified to not know how, like, to mix two different type of mediums that they don't kind of know anything about, or treating everything like it's very precious from the start, right?
I like getting messy too first. Like, everything starts off messy with big brushes, working all the way down to the smaller brushes. Just chop away, shadow, highlight. I'll pure white highlight, wash it with some yellow. Now it's yellow, and then work it tighter till it's something you just, those last details of what it makes it look alive. And they'll think like, oh, you painted every hair in there. I'm like, not really. It's shape with big brushes. Then at the end, those few make it look like you painted every single hair on the creature when you didn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. In art school, I had a teacher a painting teacher that I know it wasn't a term they came up with, but I've always loved it. You have to be willing to kill your darlings. And so I think, a lot of people will think that they've solved a problem kind of early on, and then start painting or tattooing to that thing. Like, oh, I love what I did with I nailed that fish. Like, I can't touch that. Everything else has to get to that. Well, that thing isn't you nailed it fast. It's probably not where it should be.
Right.
You just kind of got lucky. And I had a teacher that would literally come up and would recognize that in your work and scrub it out with a rag. You're like, oh, I nailed that. You're like, well, do it again. But if you did it once, do it again. Like, oh shit, that was my favorite part.
Greg, I got a question. So, when do you feel like you started having your own style?
Might have been pretty early on. It was always comic booky or heavy metal magazine ish.
Yeah.
And then, because I would get so many ideas just from that stuff, and absolutely Saturday morning cartoon and advertising art, all that kind of stuff. I think, my own style. It had to have been when I started doing graffiti.
And was it you that was in your mind, you were like, I have my own style, and you felt that? Or were other people saying, hey, you got a cool style, and you started being like, oh, yeah, dude.
I was probably encouraged by the people in the neighborhood and people I was painting with. They were saying, oh, I like that style. It's a cool style. They were their encouragement. That's why I always hit my friends up in my pieces, my graffiti friends, because those guys are the ones early on catching on and say, that looks cool, do that, do more of that. Okay. And that encouragement from those specific guys, when I was some dorky little quiet nerd, these cool dudes I looked up to, no, it looks good, kid, keep doing that. I was like, oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
you think
cool.
I'm cool?
Yeah.
And it would make me want to do cool shit, It's good to have older dudes encourage you. And the younger guys too. They were just yeah, keep doing more of that. All right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think that is probably important to a lot of times it's probably difficult for you to recognize like what's working and what's not working, to other people. Like you said something earlier about a painting that you thought would be the first one to go that didn't sell or something like that. And that always seems to be the thing, right? It's like I put a tattoo or something up that I'm like, this is the best thing that I've done in 6 months, and like crickets, you know, and then like somebody will love something that you're like, oh really? Huh. I didn't expect that one to get any attention at all. Right. Andy Chambers, like I remember talking to him. He was talking about how so many like other tattooers and his clients would, when he used a lot of turquoise in a tattoo, he's like, I'm not a huge fan of turquoise, is what he's saying. He's like, but like people love when I use turquoise. I don't know if it's because I use a lot of burnt orange too, and it's just like that kind of play. But he's like, so I just started like, when I didn't know what to do, I just like started using a lot more turquoise because it got more clients, more people paid attention to it. Yeah, that was like, wow, what a weird thing for you to notice about people here.
Right.
Well, everything's kind of skewed now because of the algorithms. It's like an algorithm will be showing it to, based off of whatever, and I feel like I kind of toggle between, trying to make stuff that people like, but then also staying true to what I enjoy as well.
Yeah, it's important.
You don't want to bend too far in that direction because then you'll end up.
Yeah, because somebody in Silicon Valley changed a couple numbers and then only part of your audience is seeing things. And it's like, okay, I'm so sick of how they keep changing those algorithms. So you can't play party to it too much or it's going to screw with your head.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I see a lot of artists nowadays that are just almost giving up because they're not getting the accolades or the attention that they were once getting.
Right.
And I always tell them, like, why'd you start drawing in the first place? Get back there. Don't worry about these likes and follows and all that stuff.
Yeah, we started drawing because we couldn't want to do anything else.
Right. And back when if someone was going to look at your stuff, you had to have your sketchbook and your back.
Yeah, and you had to have the best thing in it.
Yeah.
Anybody passes me a black book back then, I'm like, oh, I got to take a double page. I got to fill this thing full of color and make it the juiciest thing in the book.
It was like links back in the days.
Yeah, that was your social media. Yeah. I always tell people it was black books, going to yards, and people you would meet in those yards. If you either get your ass kicked or you're gonna make a friend. It's like it was way more dangerous back then. You couldn't say shit. Like people are like keyboard warriors talking shit, but it's like you gotta mind your P's and Q's, be respectful, and paint cool shit. And it was way more fun before the internet kind of picked up. But I mean, the internet's done great things for it too. Like that's why I have a career.
Yeah, at the beginning, I feel like the internet was awesome. It was very raw, and you kind of like were just presented freely.
Yeah.
Now it's like there's so many things attached to it, obviously for obvious reasons. I mean, Meta has to make money, and they have to keep going up. But it really has like I noticed with myself, it's like back in the days, I would sign up to follow you, and I would sign up to follow skateboarders, and I would choose what my magazine looked like, what my feed looked like. And now I'm getting forced fed things that maybe I do like, but I don't want to spend time on those. So I would choose, if I had a choice, I would choose not to have them in my feed.
Right.
I think if you put a bunch of food in front of someone and you're trying to be healthy, you don't want the Doritos there and stuff like that.
Right.
Now we're just getting Doritos in our eyeballs all day.
That has been one of the big things that I've noticed the last several years. It's frustrating. It's like maybe a piece of yours will come across and be like, oh, Jesse did something. Like, I haven't seen anything. He hasn't posted in a long time. I haven't seen anything with Jesse. I click on your profile. I'm like, oh yeah, he has like 1,000 things I haven't seen. There's not showing it to me.
Like
anymore.
every day he's been posting. Yeah, I'll have people say, wow, finally you get to see your stuff again. I'm like, I probably post every day. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Thank you. That's it. Just simple thank you. Yeah, you can't expect too much. I don't expect
you put
much.
turquoise in your painting.
Yeah, because I put some turquoise in the painting.
That'll do it.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different time for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. I think also trying to do what you're doing, what we're doing in like the tattoo education side of it and all of that. When we first started doing that you couldn't get a lot of that like online. Coming to an event like this, like if you were going to be in Richmond, it would already be sold out. Like the first post would come out, they'd be like, oh, Greg Simkins is there. Like, and now there's just you just came from another, live event. There's so many online events, people, if you want to learn how to, like really, if I want to learn how to paint like you and I had enough discipline to sit and just watch your YouTube, I can get a good feel of what you do from your time lapses without even you saying a word, and there's,
not to mention he's got full videos talking about how he does it.
Yeah. Step 1. Spill the paint.
Use treacle brushes.
Yes, use treacle. Yeah, put that in there.
That's cool.
Yeah, man, this has been awesome. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we're
I've learned
super
a lot.
excited to have you out, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to go. It'll be fun. It's been a while since I've been at a tattoo convention.
Yeah, you gotta do some tattoos.
Oh gosh.
That's where you've been.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Instead of a meet and greet, we'll just have a tattoo.
Right.
Tattoo.
Yeah, don't let Jen hear you say that.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
Did you ever consider? You talked about having a lot of tattooer friends. Did you consider getting into tattooing?
I almost apprenticed one night at Big Daddy's. My buddy Rocco that owns it. It's like, Rocco, I want you to apprentice me too. He's all right, but this is how it's going to be. Okay, motherfucker, go get that CD, put it in my car. I need you to go wash that car. I need you to come back. He's like, it's going to be this for a long time. He's like, you're doing good at your art. You're doing great in the video game stuff. Stick with that, kid. I'm like, all right, I'll do that. Just hung out over there, painted a bunch of stuff for the shop, draw flash, and just pretty much just go there after work every day before I went and visited my now wife. And it was so much fun just hanging out at shops. I got friends into it who are now lifelong tattooers, and it felt like that's the majority of my friends are tattooers. And that's why I probably fit right into the whole doing the conventions and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's been part of my life since I was 18. So ever since I first started, I got my first tattoo. So even before that, everybody in the neighborhood, oh, have Greg drop you a tattoo. Have him draw you a tattoo. So I drew all the kids over in this neighborhood tattoos.
Yeah, and then look at the finished result of whatever the tattooer did and be like, almost.
Oh,
good try, buddy.
No, they weren't good back then. My drawings were worse back then. So my friends they have a lot of cover-ups now. Some of them still have it. I'm like, it's still there. You didn't cover that up. I'm like, hell yeah, you drew it, Greg. I'm like, all right, don't show anybody.
But you've drawn tattoo flash.
I've had sheets, lots of sheets of flash. Collab ones with Adam Hathorn and Gunner. And,
I remember those.
I think Jimmy Litwalk was on one of those too. Like a bunch of people. Yeah,
I haven't talked to Adam in forever, man.
No, I saw him. He came to my birthday. I just turned 50, so it was good seeing him.
Nice. Awesome.
So,
I gotta get him out to Richmond sometime.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. Well, luckily you didn't start tattooing because you were able to do this, and this is
it's fun.
A void that the painting world needed, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely. But it's all very tattooable, though. In case you change your mind, you can jump right in.
Yeah.
Like apprenticeships have changed a lot these days too. You know, like if you're really good, people will just actually let you start tattooing. They're like, oh, you don't have to wash cars or anything.
Do you know what I've noticed with people who have done very well? Like Sess was tattooing at one time.
Yeah,
people who have done really well at one, we'll say, genre of art. When they end up getting into a new genre, Lumet was actually a tattoo artist for a little while.
Really?
Too. Yeah, Saturno.
Oh yeah,
a lot of those guys. But once they've kind of garnered this fame on this one side, it's hard for them to kind of like go back into being at the bottom of another genre for a time. Right. So I find that a lot of them don't really end up coming back up,
right,
on that at that same level, I mean, I still think of Sean Barber as a painter.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Even though he's tattooing,
been tattooing for quite a while now too.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah,
and maybe that's just because of when I was exposed to his work, and maybe other people exposed to his work now think of him as a tattoo artist, but I still think he's a painter.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see his tattoos that often, but I think you talk about finding your style or your mark making and all that. I think he's got a very unique portrait, like figurative kind of portrait style that, I mean, in a world of like really awesome portrait artists, I can like glance at his work and be like, oh yeah, I know exactly that. For one thing, it's probably a tattooer or a tattooed person, but even beyond that, like a lot of the way it's applied and stuff, it's very recognizable.
Yeah.
I don't know if his tattoos are that way or not. I never see his tattoos.
I've seen a couple of them, and they, he's, at least the ones I've seen, they were, relative or parallel to his paintings. But, of course it's a different, it looks totally different. Yeah. You're going on skin, with not he's usually going on darker backgrounds when he's painting, I think.
Right.
But yeah. So you can never be a tattoo artist. You're always just going to be a painter, dude.
Just a painter.
Hey, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Thank you to Greg Simkins for spending some time with us. I really, really enjoyed that. Thanks to Jesse Smith for making the connection and traveling with me out to LA. I had a good time hanging out with him. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in Richmond, October 17th through the 19th for the show, and then the 20th for the educational, for the Richmond Academy. You don't want to miss it.